We're on a beach under the Anvil of the Sun.
Anvil of the Sun?
Here in Maputo. And we're about to do a scene in which Solomon is racing back to his village, which he now knows to be under attack at the very beginning of the movie. We are in a little quad tracking vehicle that the ingenious South African Rips have devised so as to have several cameras at once and still be able to be on this lovely beach.
I think we should just offset ourselves to car with.
Me and Jamin were running, but it was very hectic because we did it 2 times, I think. We did it 2 times, it was very hectic. Jamin feels like he wasn't a gladiator. I'm dying, but yeah, I'm just a kid, so it was fun, but it's very tiring.
Speed on both cameras and action on the vehicle. Go, Jamin, go.
Slow down, Jamin, slow down. Slow down.
Close call.
All right, that's it.
Good. Lunch?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The diamond mine itself was a sizable and problematic sort of area at certain times of the construction. And my role was to sort of try and negotiate with our environmental officer the sort of necessity and the sort of importance of what we're trying to create as a visual look. Even down to cutting a blade of grass, there's an environmental impact.
We did a huge ecological survey, an environmental impact survey, to make sure that what we proposed to do, which was digging the mines and digging the pits and putting the buildings there, was not going to affect the flora and the fauna.
The main activities that required an environmental impact assessment would be the construction of the bridge and the road to gain access to the valley where we've made the mine.
This is one of our bigger palms. It's a 12-meter coconut. We're having to plant them in bitumen cloth to firstly contain the soil so we don't alter the alkalinity in the soil. Also to keep any seeds inside so that we don't introduce new plants to the region.
We're now hand assembling this road surface in order to drag it over onto this road in order to get that stone on it in order to get to the set.
We've now come up with another solution, which is putting a membrane, which is a geotextile, down on the wire mesh. It's attached to a wire mesh, and then putting 4-inch crushed stone on top of that and compacting it. In order for us to get to the main location, we have to get across this river. And the guys are busy building it. They've been busy for a week. At this stage of the race, in 2 days' time, we want to drive across here. And what we're doing is putting some wire structure that gets wired together into a shape, dump it into the water, and then you bring rock down. Believe it or not, when we're finished, we'll have a 50-ton capacity.
This is a momentous bridge, like the Burma Road, designed by Kevin Delanoy, General Delanoy.
So here we are on the bridge at Port Edward, leading to our main mine location.
We've got a machine stuck at the bottom here yesterday in the rain, this bell, which has dumped some of the aggregate for the road, so it's stuck at the bottom of the hill. And we now, because there's only one way in and one way out, can't get all of that kit that we got from Durban yesterday down there to build the road, because we can't get down this one-way track. It's the Achilles heel of the location.
We've laid more road in a week with the divine intervention of our heads of production than what the contractors did in a month. Here we are, 6th of February 2006, day 1 of principal photography on Blood Diamond, where we started digging the holes. All the topsoil had to be removed, put one side. We had to put in the road, which was coming down a very steep slope down to the floodplain, having to put down all kinds of reinforcing material, bringing in rock down the slope, getting to a river, having to build a bridge. This is it. We're all here and very, very excited.
Not only has grass grown already over it so as to make it invisible to the eye, but also that these other wildlife have come back in greater abundance than they had been there before, to the delight of the rangers and all of the environmentalists.
I was back there 2 weeks ago, and there's just no sign of it. It's completely reinstated. All the topsoil has been replaced correctly so that the layers of soil are all done. It's been reseeded, the grass is coming through, its indigenous grasses have been planted. All the indigenous bushes that were moved and put in a nursery are now back in place. We're very pleased with that, very pleased, and proud that we haven't done any damage, you know.
Right now we're filming in the fishing village, which is the home of Jaimin's character Solomon, and this fishing village has just been raided by the RUF rebels. It takes a large department of people to put this number of extras on set in a film, and what looks to the audience as normal real life in fact is a whole series of processes. The extras will be coming back daily to recreate the same scene. So we need to make sure that these clothes look old while they're actually not filthy, and they're actually able to be cleaned afterwards so that people are not wearing really dirty clothes. It takes people who are experienced in paint effects, in aging and in organising extras. There is this constant reference around here to the sausage factory, which begins in the wardrobe department with people coming in for their first fittings when it's decided what arrangement of costume they're going to wear. And then that costume moves to its next stage, which is into the aging department. So those costumes will go through those processes, and then it will be sent out to set, and the extra's given a number, and our person has a number, and when that person turns up on the day, they'll hand in that number and they'll receive that costume, and they'll go into a cubicle and they'll get changed, and then they'll head to makeup, and then they'll be wrangled by our department and looked after by a specialist standby on set.
Here we are. This is the sausage machine, the sausage factory. The raw ingredients goes in at one end, and out the other end pops out the end product, ready to go, ready to be filmed on.
All right, so it's 10 to 7 in the morning. We're at the Serenity Estate, South Africa. The company this morning had a 5 o'clock leave Maputo, and we crossed the Mozambican border and the South African border, immigration and customs, and all the trucks as well. And today we're basing out of this field. We're filming at the top of one of the hills over there with the goats and the Hausa shepherd sequence, where Archer's crossing into the Liberian border. So the strategy is, having moved 250 people across the border, they've had breakfast already. We have a 10:30 lunch over here, and we're flying up blocking, but we can't shoot the scene until the afternoon because it has to be 3/4 backlit. So we'll block it all out this morning, rehearse with the goats, have it all set, 10:30 breakfast, 11:30 helicopter shuttles to the top of the hill, shoot, and then we bring them down in darkness.
So right now, this is pretty, but by the time we're shooting, I think that's going to be prettier. Yeah. That's going to get smoky, and that's going to be more interesting. But the point is, first shot, Nilo, Archer coming up over the rise. There's a rise over there, or down over there there's a rise. That's him coming up toward us. We'll back a little bit up the hill, and we'll just have the Jeeps come bounding into shot, left to right. If we're going to lunch at 10:30, we're up here at 12. That gives us 4 hours to do it, which is not a lot, but if we just literally make it the most simple thing, which is just one setup in this direction, one setup in this direction, and the establishing things of it, we'll do it.
25, take 1 Alpha Mark.
Mark. Charlie?
Mark.
Whiskey.
So I'll confuse everything. We flew up and down the coastal area of southern Africa, pretty much from Mozambique all the way to Port St. John's. And we needed something that was coastal because of a very particular climatic zone that exists only within a narrow range. We wanted to try to approximate the jungles of Sierra Leone. We had looked in Jamaica and Haiti, but there is in fact a vibrant film community in South Africa. And what really sealed the deal was not only finding this very remarkable little microclimate, but also this gorge, where we realized that on this very large tract of privately held land, that they would allow us to invent not just one set, but in fact several, so that for 7 weeks of filming, we've essentially had one of the world's largest back lots. We've had many different swaths of jungle, we've had roads, we've had a big open plains area so as to be Guinea and the refugee camp, a place where many Sierra Leoneans ended up, and we've had this river and this gorge where the movie begins and where the movie ends. It's always preferable to be able to do as much as you can in one place, and suddenly to discover that within just a couple kilometers of itself you could find this many different locations, and the housing and the infrastructure to support it, Port Edward became one of the central locations. Maputo is one of those great unmanageable cities like Mumbai or like Bangkok or Kinshasa. It's a very sprawling, animated, vivid place in the midst of this very impoverished, struggling country. You'll get something for that. It will stand in for another place that was a little bit smaller, but certainly with that same kind of, level of animation.
We're in Maputo the 28th of October, and we're beginning to prepare for the Battle of Freetown. The street you see here in front of me and all around, it's a 360 location. We're in the process of identifying all the shop owners, all the people on the street, through the mayor's office to coordinate closing off this section of town, which, as you can hear, is right near the mosque. So we're talking to the Muslim community as well to assist us in this process. And this process will be ongoing right the way through the end of this year, 2005, in preparation for our filming 2006. And what is crucial on a project such as this is that the community supports us. They're hosting us, we are the guests. And it's very important in terms of the protocols and the way we set this up, that we're not just coming in and taking over, we're being welcomed and then taking over in order to shoot the photography that we require. When we film on these streets, all of these cars have to be removed. The surface is very good underneath, all the shop owners notified, all the signs, which are in Portuguese, which is the business language here in Mozambique, they have to be covered in order for us to create the illusion that we are in Sierra Leone. That's even before our special effects department come in and put the buildings in to blow up. So it's a Friday morning, Freetown, Sierra Leone, and this is really what we're here to film and to show the world is what's really happening as a legacy of the war in Freetown, and the destitution and the poverty that really, unless we come here and film it, which is why we're here, it'll never be seen. It'll kind of be brushed under the carpet and ignored, and some of this will now be in the film because we come here and been helped by the authorities and by Sonorous to take us into these areas and the chief, and this is really what it's about. Okay. This is tricky, trying to get these shots without everybody reacting to us, so I'm going really quick. So we're down now at the harbour at Freetown. The commercial harbour's behind us, and we're establishing now a nice establishment of Freetown, showing the people living by the water and the fact that it's by the sea. This is what we never got when we shot in Maputo, because it's a commercial port and we never had this frontage. So this will be dropped in at some point, if Ed requires it, for the establishing of the people living by the sea and the fact that Freetown is in fact a harbour. The sequence in the film where Archer catches a taxi and moves around town using the taxi. We shot some in Maputo as Sierra Leone. What we're covering here is just picking a random taxi for one of the big establishing shots so we can show the jungle in the background, which we never had in Maputo. And then we'll cut this in, if it works, implying Archer is in that taxi. So we've got real Freetown, real Sierra Leone in the film.
We're building the beach bar set right now, which will be shot in about 4 weeks, in about the second week of the shoot. And this is an important set because it's where Archer meets Maddie and I suppose falls in love, etc., etc. And it will be shot in 2 different periods of the shooting schedule, daytime and then nighttime, and then will later be destroyed partly when the RUF attack Freetown. It's quite a large set, and it's been quite complicated because we're building in sand, but it's something we've done before quite a lot, so we've solved that problem. We've got real concrete terrazzo floors going down, and apparently the city would like to keep this set. They like it so much. They want to keep it and turn it into a wedding pavilion, I think, where people take photos of their newly married couples, because normally they walk along that breakwater, and at the end we see weddings often at the weekend. People in white, women in white wedding dresses getting splashed by the waves. I think this is a better option for them.
What happens to a boy who is forced to kill people, who's taught to hate his family in some way, that's the destruction of a human soul.
Your parents are weak. They're the farmers. They're the fishermen. They've done nothing but suck the blood from this country. But you are the heroes who will save this nation. You are not children anymore. You are men.
What is in this scene is very, very real. Worse than that happening in Sierra Leone. This is where they are drugged, you know, they're injected with all sort of things just to make them become really wild. And, you know, psychologically they play with their thinking process and get them to believe that they have no more parents, no more loved ones. They are the ones that they're supposed to rely on. And, you know, seeing this being shot here just kind of bring the memory back. It's tough. It's really, really disturbing for me.
The government was very, very careful about how we treated those children.
We've had teachers on set explaining the history of Sierra Leone, explaining what the Civil War was, so that these children do not misconstrue or misinterpret such acts of vandalism and violence, that it's explained within the context of history, particularly for the young minds, obviously very impressionable.
So here we are, you know, portraying something. I'm talking to 12-year-old boys about that. You know, a bunch of adults are contriving to try to imitate something, and yet what we're imitating is a very real and very scary thing, you know, in society.
"15 seconds before this in the movie, our heroes have looked over their shoulder, ending their argument, or actually the RUF, Armed Forces, ends their argument, thank you very much. They have run from the hotel across the square. This is the far side of the square, and now we're entering into the streets of Freetown, beginning the whole chase sequence through the streets of Freetown, them dodging, weaving, under fire.
If you think about it, it's 4 street blocks locked off. And it'll happen now for 2 days this weekend and then for 5 days next week. And so far, I mean, we haven't had an incident. I mean, but the protocol's been going on since September 2005. And we're in April 2006, so it's probably the lengthiest setup of a location. But the number of people involved, you know, blocks of flats, if you pan around up there, there's all the people and the families watching this, and, you know, their access to their front door is controlled. So with that degree of logistics for safety with the explosions we're doing, it's pretty exceptional.
So what we're trying to show is just some of the horror that kind of went on in the city when that took place, and Solomon and Archer's journey through that horror. A lot of that horror we're trying to show with the local people by just setting up scenarios where we see the grief, but also trying to get an idea of Archer and Solomon seeing that grief going on and their different reactions to it.
Neil, I would like, can I have flame coming out of there? Yeah. That I would like. That would be fun.
Rolling.
All cameras rolling.
This is an aftermath shot now, going up high, looking right the way down the street. Freetown has fallen, the RUF are now coming through just doing a clean-up kill, so we'll have people shot that are lying in the street, the odd crawlers and the odd stragglers, and this will show that Freetown has fallen, the Ecomog have been defeated.
The RUF have basically taken over the town, and they're basically having a party. They're celebrating the takeover. And here we've, you know, a lot of fire effects. We've got cars upside down on fire. We've got fire in the streets. We've got 2 big Dante fire pumps in these 2 buildings here, which, you know, if we wanted to, we could give you like a 25-foot flame, but it's a bit probably big for this area. So it's very controlled, but, you know, when you're down amongst it, we've got a lot of smoke going on. I think they're going to shoot a lot of it in silhouette as well to give you that sort of rave sort of feel.
All camera target set. Ready, and background, cars go, playback.
I think what was very clear as we went from place to place, first of all, is how graciously we were welcomed.
What does he say? Okay. Everyone's okay. We're very happy to visit.
Say hello to Carl.
Not just to have us there, but also to work with us as extras or in any number of capacities. And I think we all felt a desire to do something. It's very hard to be here for any length of time, particularly when you come from as privileged a society as we do, and be unmoved. And I began to sense among people some desire to, in a hands-on way, do something.
We've done our own charitable drive in order to improve the areas that we have been in, where the crew have been deeply moved by what we've seen. We're putting wells in some of the villages where we worked, building extensions of classrooms, etc.
Wherever we went, we began to talk about what will make a difference to this village, to this school. Is it a well? Is it a road? Is it electricity? What is it? Because when you think of the third world countries, to provide that is insignificant, and yet it's life-changing.
I went to see some abandoned children that belong to this organization called SOS, and the caretakers of those kids are the ones that touched me, because if anything, they had the heart and they have so much love to spread, such a dedication, such compassion. Throughout Africa and throughout so many places, you can see kids that are deprived from so much, even the minimum.
There's the need for so much there. And so, yeah, we did what we could, and I hope we'll continue to do more.
Assuming just to start just in sequence here, that they just sort of download.
When we did the first fitting with Leo, we just went through a massive amount of looks, and then we narrowed it right down. And he just comes down to quite specific things, you know, in fact, more in a way to do with props or coming back and just double checking that when you put it on for the third time, the costume still works. He tests me as a designer 2 or 3 times to see whether I'm still going to hold firm that this is the way we're going to go. And then in a really great way, he just steps over the edge and into the character, and the discussions are over. He never revisits things. I wanted to take out the American and put in the African or Rhodesian character, and keeping that wonderfully sort of sloppy African New World image. This was also a really difficult timeline. The fact that it's set in 99 is very close to where we are. Within 10 years, it can actually just simply look dated, and we can't have that. And just tried to keep it quite unstylized. At the beach bar, I mean, every girl on location, and I'm speaking for a large number of them who've been on location for quite some time now, have usually got some fabulous little top that they're dying to put on just to remind themselves that they're women. And that's what we did there. We made that a really sort of feminine girl having a good time moment. Women journalists who are out there are really interesting, smart, funny, attractive and practical women. They can party with the best of us, but when they're in war situations, they're incredibly practical, and that was the note that we wanted to keep with this character. We wanted Jennifer to feel that she had represented that group of women really well. Well, one of the difficult things about a character like Jaimin is virtually no wardrobe changes. It is always a really difficult thing when you read a script and you realise that the character is going to appear in one outfit at the beginning of the movie, and then about a tenth of the way into the film they're going to change, and there it is. You're stretching out this costume right through to the end of the film. In many ways, the story was dictating completely what the costume was going to be. I mean, he had to be in a hotel uniform. I didn't want to make it a particularly noisy or flamboyant hotel uniform. I needed something that I knew I could break down in age and keep interesting, I suppose, in one form or another, right down to the last moment in the film.
This little episode here is when they get separated from the convoy, which was broken up by the earlier attack you've seen. Now they're driving along the road. They come to a bend in the road where they have to slow down, and it's an RUF ambush. lead jeep hits a mine, it's blown into the air. They're attacked with machine guns. The last jeep is hit with an RPG, a rocket-propelled grenade. That's how you attack a convoy. You hit the first vehicle and the end vehicle, and they can't go anywhere. But our hero will take off through the off the road, through the crops on the side, and begin our wild off-road chase. What's happening right now is we're in the middle of our chase sequence. So we're getting bits and pieces which take days and days to shoot, and we'll cut together into a 20-second, highly packed action sequence involving having escaped the ambush on the road. This gets them started off-road on a trip that ends at the jungle that we shot 10 weeks ago. And it'll all cut together into one very exciting sequence. What's going on in this scene is the vehicle has just crashed. We'll take it back the last 6 feet and crash it again. And instead of the doubles in it, who were in it for the big major crash, we'll have our genuine actors pop out and they will head off into the deep forest.
Hold on!
It was just wickedly hot. On your feet all day, hiking, running through the jungle, jumping in and out of cars was a bit rough and tumble, but I really like that sort of thing.
Every morning, the guys would come on the set to describe what bug they'd seen in the room the night before.
It's been very tiring. We're in difficult locations. We've all lived in fear of malaria and tick bites and sunburn and just the relentless nature of third world environments.
I don't know, I've got bites and infestations all over me.
Everybody's getting tick bites, everybody's getting mosquito bites, everybody's getting all kinds of bites.
Every morning was like, okay, what was in your room last night? Was it a lizard? Was a lizard in your bed? Was a lizard in your... Was there a snake in your room?
He likes each other. He's your friend. Look, he desperately wants to get to you. Look, give him a hand. Come on.
They say no battle plan survives contact with the enemy, and that's certainly true when you try to make a movie.
I get pretty romantic, I think, when I talk about what movie crews really are and what they're capable of.
The grapes, the whole crew, really. To see them day in and day out trying to make this work and trying to make this feasible, to me it was mind-blowing.
This particular crew, with the journeys that we've done, the logistics that we've had to do, the conditions under which we've had to work, all the time we're in the jungle. There was no movement of vehicles. Everything was hand carried in and hand carried out on a daily basis in the rain as we were fighting the elements all the time.
The thing is that so much preparation goes into making a movie. I think Ed must have made 4 or 5 trips to Africa before he even went over for pre-production.
It is a completely different environment than anything I've ever experienced in my entire life. I don't think that we could have at all had the authenticity that I think is put up on screen without all of us being here, meeting the real people. You can't really understand or do a film like this unless you really immerse yourself in the environment.
Leo really has been remarkable as a trooper because he hurt his knee early on and he's been getting physical therapy through it, but I know the times that he's been in pain and never once has he said, no, I can't do that.
Leo got really, he already had bad knees, but he got really banged up. We both were quite physically challenged in this film.
The truth is, I think I've beat up Jaimin in some way even worse. He's been run through the mud in 4 or 5 different occasions, not to mention at one point having to pick up Leo and carry him up this steep mountainside take after take.
This is the most challenging film I've ever done, really.
Carlos Constantine. Manuel Justin.
So we're in Maputo, Mozambique, approximately 3 months ahead of shooting. The reason we're here so early is because there's no real resident acting community in Mozambique, so we don't really know what we're going to find. A lot of them don't speak any English.
Can you tell them to say that in English? Because the director needs to know that we could say the dialogue from here.
So we can work on their English, work on their acting in the time between now and when we actually start shooting here. This is day 2 of we'll end up probably doing maybe 10 days worth of casting. This particular casting is for specific parts. The RUF child militia, villager parts, people in the beach bar. Bit by bit, we'll piece people together to try and give us a spread of, interesting looking, convincing looking people that can also perform, do what's needed to camera.
Only RUF on the road. Yes. Only RUF on the road. Well, only RUF. Son.
And cut. Perfect.
Cut.
Very good. Lovely. Okay.
This film's set in about 1999. It's in Sierra Leone. The type of weapons that you would have had in that area are a lot of Kalashnikovs, a hell of a lot of Kalashnikovs.
Very efficient weapon, used in a lot of conflicts around the world, but also the main weapon used in the African conflicts in the countries we've covered so far.
One of the places we're filming here is Mozambique, and you'll find the AK is on their flag, which shows you how much it's favoured here.
This is the American M16 assault rifle, used by the mercenary forces on the film. This is the Browning 50 caliber machine gun, used by the ECOMOG and the mercenary troops.
We don't fire live ammunition on film. Everything that you see on this film is blanks.
These are 50 caliber, that's half-inch BMG Browning machine gun rounds, and these specific ones are manufactured for us by Swanson in the States, specifically as movie blanks. Very, very powerful blank.
Leo has been great fun. He really likes to be involved with the whole weapon thing, likes to know his weapons.
He was taken off into the bush around here, and we all went and hid in certain areas, and he had to walk up through us, and we ambushed him. We did give him a weapon, and please don't let him know this, we gave him a weapon that jammed on him, so that he would learn how to clear jams. And he has kind of remarked on this a few times, that the first gun that he had wasn't very good, but the reason was we wanted him to be able to manage, clear a jam, get down, do a magazine change. And that's worked well, because now we're on the set and we're filming. When we want him to do a magazine change, or if his gun does jam, he knows how to clear it.
I think the thing to do is just frame for the bus.
I get pretty romantic, I think, when I talk about what movie crews really are and what they're capable of.
Action, action!
When you make a movie of some scale in some remote place, it becomes a magnet for people from all over the world.
The way this crew's been put together and the way Ed and I have gone about selecting crew to do this is, it's also in relation to the film, the style of the film, how we want to shoot the film, and making sure that the people who are coming to work in the environment and the conditions that we're working in are going to give of their best in that.
We have these remarkably talented people all together, each individually talented at the top of their fields, standing out there in the worst conditions, all in pursuit of something very ineffable, in this case, some story.
It was an amazing group of people, and really everybody was there because they wanted to be. This was not an easy shoot. This was not, oh my God, this is going to be fun. It was hard.
They tend to deal with it with this very common, rough, good humor. Film crews are, in my experience, about the funniest group of people that I've ever been around. I'm trying to count languages the other day on the crew, and I was up in the 20s. It was English, French, German.
Thank you. Good. Danke. Das war ich hiermit.
We have, I think at the last count, representatives of 11 countries on this set in technical grades. There's obviously a core South African crew here. It was one of the reasons why South Africa was chosen, because of the quality of the film crews down here. We've got crew coming in from America, we've got crews from the UK, we've got German camera technicians, we've got French designers, we've got Portuguese lighting cameramen, Canadian people who's working in special effects. It's from all over the world.
There were people from Czechoslovakia, Australia.
Everyone's come together to make it work, and the number of setups and the speed at which stuff is being executed, complex special effects sequences like we've been shooting here for the attack on the diamond mine, has come together faster than most thought possible.
It's not just the film business that's becoming an international business, or this movie that you make for the world, but the world is making it. And that's a pretty thrilling thing to realize over time, that you actually have connections and affiliations and friendships with people from literally all over the world.
My name is Brandon Pretorius. I'm the environmental officer for the movie Blood Diamond. I'm here to ensure compliance with environmental legislation during the production of the movie. This area where we're shooting these particular scenes is one of 35 biodiversity hotspots in the world. We have baboons, vervet monkeys, fish eagles, all the snakes and reptiles that are usually associated with the area. Before any activity can take place, the government requires an impact assessment and then an environmental management plan, or EMP, which is a document that guides the production as to certain activities, the way in which they can do them or carry them out. To fill the mine pits, we had to get permission to abstract water from the river. This water obviously has not been treated before, so we had to treat it, and we've got a whole reticulation system around the whole mine set where chemicals get added to it. We're not using normal chlorine, we're using vegetable extracts, which is then possible to just return back to the environment without having any chemical traces. So basically, I've got to look after the baboons, the monkeys, and make sure that the crew don't catch too many fish, and that when they completed the whole project, that everything gets restored to its original state.
My name's Neil Corbold, I'm the Special Effects Supervisor on Blood Diamond, and we're here in Port Edward, South Africa. And this is our first test day for Edswick. We do these tests to show the director just so that he knows what he's getting on the day and there's no surprises for him, and also it shows him that they're safe. These are a few of the tests that we're going to be shooting a bit later. We have 4 rows of bullet hits. As they run down, we're going to have these bullet hits going off either side of them. And then we've got a grenade hit here, which is a smaller version of this. And then we've got 2 water hits in here.
3, 2, 1.
Now, what we should also work on, just for futures, is to create a couple of safer mortars that people could, the guys could be within 8 to 10 feet of,
we've
as we
got
often
big
do
air
with cannons,
cannons, which people
fill with peat and all that
sand
stuff.
and everything.
Yeah, because I think we want some of that too.
Yeah. We're in the diamond mine set in South Africa. It's the 24th of January 2006. And this is the second day of action extras training, and the second week of stunt training. It's just a rehearsal of the background action for the first few days of shooting.
My name is Gert Eys. I'm the aerial coordinator on Blood Diamond.
All right, I got it in relation to that a little bit. Yeah.
We're here with the Westcam camera system that we mount on the helicopter. The main purpose of this system, it's gyro stabilized, is to take the vibration of the helicopter and the movement of the helicopter out of the shot, so we end up with a stable platform that we can shoot aerial images from.
These are safety rehearsals. We're checking the relative position of our stunt players and extras to the hits. Here we go. Ready and watching, and helicopters inbound. Bang! Fuel tank. And our start stop.
And action!
Well, let's see, a series of 3 explosions, each one starting with a gas bomb and ending with a water bomb with bullet hits.
The 5-camera setup. We've got tremendous coverage in this area here. We've done 3 major takes, 2 with the helicopters and a 3rd with inserts. We've done a lot of coverage on principal cast when we start planning this May last year, so it's nearly a year in the planning.
I went to Johannesburg. I met hundreds of kids, and some of these kids were just remarkable. And what never ceases to amaze me is how actors, when they're good,
are the same the world over. And it's wonderful to discover that there is a commonality of language, that the things that I do with actors in America are the same things that I do with Kahiso Kuiper's play in Dia. You connect to this child, you are honest with them, you spend time, you get to know each other, and there's a trust that's developed. And at the end of it, you can ask them to go places and do things they may have never done before, but their willingness to go there is absolute because they trust you.
I auditioned first time, call back, I auditioned second time, and then on my third time, we were doing some work together where Ed made me cry. Because, you know, when you're a soldier, they pick on you, you know? Like, you must be tough, tough, tough. And a child like Dia is not that tough because he's still a child. He doesn't want to be a soldier. He wants to be something big, you know? He wants to follow his dreams. But he can't follow his dreams because of these people are stopping him from following his dreams, you know? So Ed became the person that's stopping me from following my dream. I got very angry and I was in character because Ed was pushing me around. It is very nice and I thank Ed for that because it helped me a lot while I'm in my audition.
Shoot her right now. Right now, or I shoot you. That's it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Don't look at me. Shoot her. Do it. Okay, forget it. I'll kill you. Right now. Right now. Yes? Do it? Do it?
So it's Monday the 12th of June and it's the last day of principal photography. London, taxi cabs, and this is it. So 6 days over schedule. And we're just cruising through at the end. Glorious weather. Everyone in a really good mood, and hopefully we'll complete principal photography at the end of today. So it's that's it really. What more can you say? We've done 5 countries by the time this film is seen on the screen. We'll have shot Mozambique, we'll have shot South Africa, Sierra Leone, India, Belgium, and the United Kingdom. We'll have gone around the world about 4 times, moved 600 or 700 tons of equipment through different continents, and moved 300 or 400 people through different continents. It's been a road trip. A lot of work done, a lot of hours. It was efficient. Director got what he wanted, working in adverse circumstances, and it's been a very successful crew. Credit to everyone involved. The last day of filming, always the best. Big Ben in the background, and a Bentley. More British you couldn't want for. That's the end of that. Thank you. It's a wrap.
This is the movie Martini, which is to say the last shot shooting that day. But the movie Martini is the last shot of the movie, and that's what we're doing right now.
Nilo, thank you, Jarman. Call it. Okay, thank you all very much. That completes principal photography in the Warner Brothers motion picture, Blood Diamond. Also known as a wrap on the last day. Thank you all very much.
I'm very pleased with this score because one of the hardest things I think for me to do in this score was to arrive at a theme, a tune for the movie, because it's such a harsh movie and there's such a lot of violence. It was very difficult to think, well, where are we going to ever be able to put in any thematic material? And in fact, as it has unfolded, there's a lot of thematic material that has to do mostly with the relationship between Djimon Hounsou and Leonardo DiCaprio. And I think their thematic music, I really think, supports that relationship and helps it pay off at the end.
You take your boy home, huh? You take him home, huh?
Ed and I, when we first spoke about the music for the film, we knew a couple of things. We didn't want to do a big bombastic orchestral score. The choral element was one that I also wanted to have be understated. This African children's choir was something that I wrote for early on in the movie. before I knew they even existed, hoping that we'd be able to come up with one. And sure enough, there's a great one here in England, and we're working with them today.